Hello, it's Al. I like science fiction, I like model making, so it's natural that the two things have come together with a collection of science fiction models that I've been acquiring and building over the years. Almost all of them relate to TV shows and films that I really enjoyed. I thought it might just be fun to talk about them for a few minutes and talk about what's out there and some of the challenges that I ran into when I was making them. The daddy, as far as I'm concerned, is the Enterprise, and this is the Polar Lights kit for the refit Enterprise as it appeared in Star Trek the motion picture in 1979, and then in the subsequent films that came after that. And then, of course, it got destroyed in Search for Spock, and then they had an identical version of the Enterprise built, which had a different serial number, NCC 1701A. And when the Polar Lights kit came out, well, this is boxed for my version of it. They did the refit Enterprise was the one you could get. And I always liked the refit. I think I always slightly preferred the original one, but I still loved the look of the refit Enterprise. It's somewhat more futuristic, maybe sort of more of a sort of 70s, 80s look to it. So I was really happy to have a chance to build the kit. And I bought this for £104.99 in Model Zone. I bought it in Manchester in a defunct model shop, hobby store. Model Zone was a chain that went out of business probably about 10 years ago. And I remember buying this and taking it back to the hotel and sort of opening it with a degree of anticipation and finding these enormous mouldings inside. I mean, it's a real jigsaw how they managed to get the pieces for this kit into this box, and of course the saucer section takes up most of the room. Anyway, I thought, well, I'll crack on and I'll make the Enterprise. And I'd started, made a start on the saucer section with gluing in the windows and things like that. And then I was in another hobby shop and I had a chance conversation with someone about building a model of the Enterprise. And I said, well, I've started building the Polar Lights 1350th Enterprise. And the guy said, well, and you're putting lights into it, aren't you? And I said, well, I haven't really thought about it actually. And he said, oh, you've absolutely got to put lights in it. And it kind of bugged me a bit, and I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, if I'm ever going to build one model of the Enterprise, it'd be a shame for it not to have lights. So I started looking into that. I went online and I found a third-party sort of aftermarket lighting kit, which was basically a load of LEDs and a little circuit board and some instructions about how you went about putting lights in. I was able to undo the work I'd started on the saucer section. That wasn't a problem, and then I started putting the lights in. But I quickly realised that it magnifies the complexity of building the kit by probably sort of 600% or something ridiculous. Because you're then down a rabbit hole of chasing light blocks. You want to make sure the thing is completely light tight from inside, except where you want the light to come out. So you end up, as I did with this one, just putting an enormous amount of time into painting the inside black and sealing it and resealing it, constantly testing it in dark rooms to see if there were any bits of light coming through where I didn't want them. And that went on for months. And I broke it down into 4 elements. So I did the saucer section, the nacelles, and then the engineering section. And in addition to all the light blocking, you've also got to figure out how to get all the wires through. So you have to kind of have a bit of a plan ahead of time about how you're actually going to integrate the model, because once it's sealed, you obviously can't get at any of the wiring inside. So after a while I started just going my own way instead of following the kit, and I just treated it as a set of LEDs, and I started figuring out my own sort of wiring logic inside. But I did want to have some flashing lights on it. So at the end of the day, there's 4 wires come out the base of the engineering section and go into the display base which comes with the kit, and there's a little computer under there. There's an Arduino board which I bought for very little money from Maplins, which was an electronics supplier that's also gone out of business now, like a lot of things. And I wrote a little program which that wasn't hard at all. I just found a few example programs on the internet and sort of did a little bit of cutting and pasting until I got one that did what it wanted to do, which was basically just to make the lights flash. So I got the main white lights stay on all the time. The nav lights, the red and the green lights, flash, and then there's white nav lights at the back which flash. And what the program allowed me to do was have the light flash and then be off for longer than the flash. So it looks I think it looks quite cool that it's not just on off. It's on and then a bit of a delay and then it flashes again, which is how it is in the film. Having built it, I wish I'd put a few more lights in, particularly in the engineering section, because it does look good in a dark room, and when you see the effect of the lights, it's really cool. But nonetheless, I wish I'd put a bit more illumination in the engineering section. It's only when you've finished it that you really get a sense of these things. And there's a few other things I would have done differently. I didn't remember that there are nav lights under the saucer as well as on top, so those don't light properly on my version. So that would have been nice. And there should be a white nav light at the front, which I didn't remember to do. So there's a few sort of things that are less than perfect with it. But having said that, and given that it took me quite a few years to finish it because it's such a beast, I was still very, very pleased with the Enterprise when I finished it. And having said that, there's still I still have to put the shuttle bay doors on. There's an aftermarket detailing set I use for the shuttle bay as well, which is a lot of work. And you ask when you've done it, tilt it around, you can sort of look into the shuttle bay and you can see some little figures inside. And it's one of those things. It's a lot of work, and is it really worth it? I don't know, but you could build a really nice model of the Enterprise just from the box, and even if you didn't light it, it would still look really cool. But I think the lighting takes it to another dimension. Once I built it, I thought, I never want to build one of these again. I've ticked that box. I'm really happy that I built the refit Enterprise. It's just a beautiful spaceship. But that's I don't want to go on that journey again. It's too big, too time consuming. Done it. But then Polar Lights then put out a kit for the original Enterprise. So I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to build another one now. So I have this one in the Sable, which is a stash acquired beyond life expectancy. So that's my kit stash. So it includes this one, which I haven't started yet. And with this one, I also have the Polar Lights official lighting kit for the Enterprise, which is quite expensive, but I think because it's designed to fit the kit, I think it would be an easier journey than sort of the homemade lighting system I used for the first one. And rather nicely, the lighting kit includes a rotating effect for the nacelles. I think it should look really cool. So yeah, I'm going to end up with a second model of the Enterprise at some point, but no bad thing. I still think that the original Enterprise is a really fantastic design. I did actually see the filming model when I think it was my first visit to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in about 1992, I suppose it was. They did have the model on display there, and it was really impressive. And it's a big thing. I forget how big it is. It's maybe 15 feet long or something. It was really fantastic to see the Enterprise. The second time I went to the Smithsonian, about 20 years later, I was really looking forward to seeing the Enterprise again, and it wasn't there. And it turned out they'd removed it for conservation work. And there's a lot of stuff on YouTube where you can see the conservation work that went into it, where they basically undid a lot of things that have been done to the model over the years, and tried to get back to how it was with the original filming. So I'd love to see it again in its fully preserved state, and I think it is back on display at the Smithsonian. But that's for the future. But yeah, at least I did get to see the Enterprise once. So anyway, yeah, lovely, brilliant kits, polar lights. The other Star Trek kit that I've built from their range is the original shuttlecraft from the original series, and I loved the shuttlecraft as a kid. In some respects, I thought I probably liked it even more the Enterprise, because it was a more approachable scale, I suppose. You could relate to it because you could see how big it was in relation to Mr. Spock and Captain Kirk when they went on their adventures. And I made the polar lights kit. When they released this kit a few years ago, they said, unfortunately, the economics don't allow for an interior, so it's completely empty. There's nothing inside it. But I was quite happy to build it, and I took a lot of time making it look as seamless and smooth as possible, just like the filming miniature. And I sprayed it with, I think it was a dove grey car colour or something, car spray. Very happy with that. They've now released the same kit but with a complete interior. So now you can get the Enterprise shuttle, not only with seats and control panels inside, but also Star Trek figures. So all the main Star Trek characters come with the kit. So I'm thinking I probably need to build another one. So that might be in my future as well. But it is a nice kit, it goes together very well, and maybe no hardship to build another one. So there you are, those are my Star Trek models. As you can see, there's a few other things we can talk about, but I thought we'd just talk about Star Trek today. So hope that was interesting. See you soon.